welcome to Red Ice Creations Radio. My name is Henrik Palmgren. I'm the editor and webmaster of redicecreations.com, and this is our internet talk radio show recorded from the west coast of Sweden. You can join us every Thursday and Sunday for our regular program, and don't miss out on our subscriber section if you want to have full access to our growing archive of radio shows. Today we have our monthly regular guest, Alan Watt from CuttingThroughTheMatrix.com, back with us on the program. We're a bit off in our schedule. Alan is usually with us the last Sunday of each month, but because of some work on film projects from our end, we're about a week off here, but that's okay. Any time is a good time to talk with Alan. And today I would like to begin to talk about the Bilderberg group, or the conference. This annually held meeting is usually sometime during the month of June, and as far as we know it's ongoing right now as of this recording is anyway, and it's probably going to be going on through the entire weekend here. So this is a good opportunity to spend some time talking about this group and a lot more stuff with Alan. So let's say welcome back to the program, Mr. Watt. Thank you so much for joining us again. Hope things are good and that you are well.
Yes, I'm well, yeah.
Excellent. Nice to have you here again. So, as I said, we have the Bilderberg meeting ongoing as far as we know right now. It's usually in the month of June. The location of the meeting this year is in Istanbul, Turkey. And the Bilderberg group, of course, is a think tank. I've also heard it being referred to as a kind of steering committee, that meet once a year on various locations around the globe, usually in the Western Hemisphere, I think. And where allegedly and everything from international matters, politics, business, economics, and a whole lot of other stuff are discussed at this meeting. It's a known secret meeting, as it were, with politicians, media moguls, CEOs, members of European royalty, and a whole lot of other people, as would consider to be referred to as elites, I guess, or rulers or whatnot. And Alan, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the history of the Bilderbergers and their track record, so to speak. I know that it was started in '54, and that the name relates to the hotel that they were first meeting at in Netherlands. We have hints in there here and there about what are being discussed at this meeting. Not sure if there's any full reports, as it were, from the inside. I know that they were in Ottawa, Canada last year, and we've been talking about many different groups and clubs and societies, secret and not, and on this show, of course, Alan. But so let me ask you, would you consider this particular group to be of great importance if you were to kind of compare them from a conspiratorial viewpoint with other similar groups?
Well, before World War II came along, long before World War II came along, in fact, it was the time of World War I, the elite of Europe, especially Britain, discussed the coming of what they called democracies, which really hadn't existed in the present form at that time. And they knew they'd have to appease the people with a form of what appeared to be democratic government on the outside where they could vote. Mind you, that's the only right they get, is to vote.
Yeah.
They don't get rights in making decisions on what's to be voted for with the bills they'll go through.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they'd never let go of power. There is an establishment, as they call it in Britain, which has never lost hold of its power, never intends to. It's a eugenic-run society, you might say, with the most successful, as their own words, the most successful families intergenerationally who've caught wealth and power and held on to it, who've shown their worth in a Darwinian viewpoint to be where they are. So prior to World War II coming along, they'd already set up the basic foundations to run a parallel government which would actually push towards global government. It goes way back in history to the 1500s, and actually before. But the 1500s was when it came out into the open, where they wanted a British empire based on free trade. And they even gave the term most favored nation trading status, which they still use today in the UN treaties, you'll notice. So they set up a pyramid structure after World War II of think tanks, with certain think tanks at the top that would be the steering. They call them the Navigators at the top.
Yeah.
At the top you have one of them which plans the future and the society that will be induced in that future, with the culture and everything else to go with it.
Yeah.
That's from entertainment all the way down, and it's comprised of very large media moguls who participate with the planners, the Navigators, and that's the Club of Rome. And that think tank then gives out their policies to lower think tanks. There are thousands of them ultimately, that then work them into being. They call it making it so, making it be. And one of the groups which then goes over their major strategies and discusses how it is working, if any alterations need to be made, are the Bilderberg group. The Bilderberg group always have members of royalty attending. They have the members of the banking institutions attending because they have to finance it. And H.G. Wells wrote about this particular structure before it was named, in fact, in some of his writings. He said we shall need to bring in the bankers on board because they understand economics and will have to finance this global system.
Yeah.
So the Bilderbergers, remember the high institution that runs this, build the future. And so they named the hotel long in advance for the meeting, and they called it the Builder. You build the mountain, the berg.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it means. So they also take future prime ministers and presidents before the public even hear their names often, and ask them to attend. Then if they're accepted, they're vetted and okayed, they'll get to be president or prime minister before the public even know their names.
That's interesting about the name there, because this was one question I did want to put to you, or idea rather, and this was, the fact that the story goes, that some don't know the name of him, a guy, stumbled upon this meeting at the hotel called Bilderberg. And what I found interesting was that they consequently, called themselves the Bilderberg meeting, because this is a group that has been named by someone from the outside then. But,
in a sense, or else they leaked it out or put a false story through.
Yeah.
They're very particular about their names.
So
they love these names as little jokes on the public.
Okay, yeah, because again, when we look at the official, there is one circulated report. There's a picture of that, on Wikipedia, even from the 1980 Bilderberg conference in Bad Aachen in Germany. There's one fax that was circulated from the Brook Street Hotel in Ottawa last year, and this fax. On the front cover, this was the member list fax, basically, that was sent to the hotel there. And on that fax, it also said, the Bilderberg meeting. So that is the, very much the official name. But then again, if someone were there stumbling upon this meeting, one would think that they had named themselves something else before the first meeting. But, well, anyway.
Yeah, they were on the go before they eventually came out more in the open.
Yeah, they must have been. So
in the 1950s.
So, I mean, this, I don't know if this is worth mentioning, but in a sense, could that imply in some ways that this particular group, is there to draw not attention away from other groups maybe, but in a way, as I, referred to you before we began the program here today, that this particular meeting has gotten, at least in the last few years, more media attention than a lot of other meetings, and it's a kind of popular, conspiracy in quotes, so to speak. Well, I don't know, what's your take on that?
It's not really. What it is the gradual. See, they wrote about this again in the early 1900s, and they said that these unelected ruling groups, a parallel government, would eventually, at the right time, when the public would accept it, they would start to show themselves more often. They call themselves hidden masters. That was the old joke they used to call themselves. and everyone down below partied hidden masters, thinking it was something really occult, you know.
Yeah.
But in reality, they've always been here, and the public are now being trained because they will accept it. They will accept it. They're too socialized now. They will accept a world of experts running them. Who've had 40, 50 years of indoctrination along this path. And most people don't participate in elections or politics. They don't even care what's really happening in their own countries, most of them.
That's right.
So they're quite ready now for these people to come forward more officially as a parallel government.
So that this, as you say, this is the plan to, you know, with the name, the Bilderbergers, in that name, giving that, you know, implication of, on a more psychological level, I guess, that, okay, these are the big boys, these are the rulers. But would you say that, because you referred to them as, you know, the navigators in that sense, would you say that the guys and gals attending the Bilderberg conference are these navigators?
They are a slightly lower order. At the top, they say that the hidden ones, the masters themselves, the captains of the ship, will not come forward until it's the right time. In other words, when the public are so dumbed down and docile that then they can come forward in safety. In the meantime, we see the ones who are officially titled already in the public's eyes, so they can still, but they still report to ones above them.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look down, in fact, at the old, where the banks are in England, if you go up into one of the high buildings and look down, you'll see the 4 banks with the obelisk they brought over from Egypt a long time ago. And you'll see the Temple Bar, where the Knights Templars had run the Exchequer, which is the British Treasury. But you'll also see where the roads come together, and you look down, where the pavement is, the sidewalk is in the form of a ship, and that deliberately was called the ship of state. Because England was the one chosen to be the ship of state, and the navigator will point the way. So this is old stuff, well understood at the top circles.
This is
unknown to the general public.
Okay, and this, I guess, is in the city of London you're talking about now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You know, there's some very interesting connections actually when you bring up, you know, the Knights Templar and the Temple Bar and all of this. I briefly looked into you know, the history of some of the names of some of the attendees there, and I came upon the one name, Gordon Richardson, or Sir Gordon Richardson, a former governor of the Bank of England. And just on a, you know, side note here, but he was actually in 1946 he was called into something called the Gray's Inn, and this is basically a area, you know, where they have all the manners of something called the Middle Temple, the Inner Temple, and Lincoln's Inn. Also, this is area where the Temple Bar, or, you know, all the barristers are gathered, basically.
That's right. Temple Bar.
Exactly, and one of the names they're referred to was, as I said, was the Gray's Inn, and this was accordingly the manor house that was a property of someone called Reginald de Grey, or the first Baron Grey de Wilton. Don't know if you heard about this, but it all, as you say, all seems to connect with something called the Order of the British Empire and the Knights Templar, of course.
Yeah, the Order of the British Empire still is dished out every year to certain people even in Canada and Australia, New Zealand, etc.
Yeah.
And everyone who's at the top of your culture creation departments gets is awarded the Order of the British Empire. The OBE. Yeah.
OBE. Yeah.
The